Well, hello scrappers, Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. And I am back from Arizona and the water has gone down around my lab. We'll see how long that lasts. It's supposed to rain again this afternoon. But I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to make hay while the sun shines here, and we're going to get started on um, part 7 of getting the palladium out of the strips Joven sent me. He sent me a bunch of palladium plated strips. Joven in Taiwan has access to this stuff. Some sort of e-waste that's very heavily plated in palladium. He sent me a bunch of it. There's filters in this beaker that have the red palladium ammonium chloride salt in them that I've isolated from Joven strips. So it's time to turn this stuff back into palladium metal. So how can I do that? Well, there's several ways I can do it. I mean, one, I could just put this stuff in like a quartz dish and put it in my Capelling oven and heat it up and burn off the paper and sublimate away the ammonium chloride, and eventually we'll wind up with palladium metal. But I think we've got some contamination with base metals here, so I'm leaning towards a different method. So what I'd like to do is redissolve the red salt in these filters. Get it all into solution. Filter the solution really well to get any particulates out, including, a lot of paper here and whatever else might be in there. And then use ammonium formate reduction to reduce the red salt back to metal. And I'm hoping a lot of their impurities, like maybe copper, nickel, any other base metals present, will stay in the solution when the palladium metal falls out of solution. So that's my plan. We're going to try it and see how it goes. Okay? So step 1 is getting this red salt back into solution. And how am I going to do that? Well, it's water soluble. If you watch the other 6 episodes in this series, you know that I was using a saturated solution of ammonium chloride with this stuff because that wouldn't dissolve the red salt, or I was using hydrochloric acid because it's not soluble in that either. But we're going to put the distilled water on this stuff. And yeah, look at that. Immediately, the red stuff looks like it's going back into solution. I'm going to put about, 400 milliliters. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make it a whole half a liter. Why not? Make sure we got enough water in there to do the job. Yeah, look at the deep red color it's taken on. That stuff is going back into solution before our very eyes. But I'm going to help it along. I'm going to put it on some heat, low heat, and see if we can get all this stuff back into solution. Then I'm going to set up to filter it, and we'll filter out all of the solids. And then we will deal with getting our palladium back out of the solution. All right, I've got it in the fume hood. I'm going to put a little gentle heat to it, not too hot. And I'm going to stir it. I'll stir it a few times. And we'll see if we can get all of this red salt back in solution. All right, so those of you who watched the last episode in this series, episode 6, I'll put a link in the upper right. Remember that I have about 2 gallons of waste liquid over here from processing the palladium. And I need to do something with it. Here's my temporary stock pot. So I have just dumped off a lot of the liquid in here into the main stock pot to make room in it. So I can put the palladium waste in here. Now, I don't know if it's going to show up or not. But there's already, and focus, there's already a pretty good layer of black stuff on the bottom of that bucket. And most of that black stuff is going to be gold. Not all of it, but a lot of it's going to be gold. So my plan here, because this palladium waste, at the end of the last episode, I did a stannous chloride test on it. And there's still probably a little bit of palladium in there, but it looks like it's got a pretty good, strong indication for gold. Either way, I was going to put it in my temporary stock pot anyway. And we'll just let the gold fall out in here or in the main stock pot over time. So let's see here. There's probably a whole lot of ammonium chloride and maybe some other salts that have come out of solution on the bottom of this bucket. I don't necessarily want to dump them in, But I will dump this deep green liquid in here. Oh yeah, see the crystals in there? Oh yeah. I'll figure out what to do with those, but for now I'm just going to dump the liquid in here. I might wash those with some uriatic acid. Try and get some of the color out of them and dump that in, just so that I get as much of the precious metals out of here as I can. Then I'll discard the rest of the solids. So that's my idea for that. I'm going to throw a couple spoonfuls of SMB in there just to help promote any gold to settle out in the bottom of the temporary stock pot. And the next time I empty it out into the main stock pot, I'll just capture the solids in the bottom of it on a filter and process it. All right, this stuff was looking a little chunky as it's warming up here, so I added another couple hundred milliliters of water to it just to make sure there's enough liquid there, hopefully to dissolve everything. I don't want to leave solids, you know, that stay behind on my filter. So, yeah, that red stuff. I know there's a lot of paper pulp there, though. A lot of that solids may just be paper pulp. Alrighty, let's get this blood red stuff filtered. Whatever the frothing was seems to have stopped. A lot of paper pulp here. And a lot of red liquid. So, let's see if we can get this filtered off my stir stick. Okay, it's coming through. Uh-oh. I think, did my filter fail? That came through awful darn quick. I don't know if my filter failed or what. I don't see any holes in it. Guess it's okay. Let's see if there's any debris in it. If so, I guess I'll have to filter it again. No, it's slowing down. I guess that first batch just came through quick, but now the pores in the filters are getting clogged up and it's slowing down. So it's going to take me a while probably to get the rest of this stuff through, and I'm going to have to wash as much of the red color out of the filter up here as I can. So I will keep the filter and throw it with my rag and filter storage for processing sometime in the future. Yeah, it's just gotten slower. I guess it just came through fast at first. Now it's really going to slow down because the bulk of the paper pulp just went in. Okay. Let me wash this beaker out into here. And we will just let this run. Pull as much liquid out of it as I can. And I will run a lot of distilled liquid through the filter to try and get as much of that red-orange color out of the filter as I can. Alright, I have been running a lot of water through this funnel with the filter in it up here, trying to get this liquid coming through clean, and it is coming through pretty clean, maybe just a slight hint of red to it still. But let me show you something up here in the funnel. Now look up here in the funnel, there's some orange stuff in the funnel. I just scrape away some of the paper pulp. There's some orange stuff. Now this is orange, not red. And it is not rinsing through. It's not dissolving and rinsing through. I suspect we've got a little bit of platinum salt here with our palladium salt. I suspect we've got a little bit of platinum ammonium chloride up here. It's not dissolving. But the palladium ammonium chloride went right through. So yeah, Joven, your strips might have a little bit of platinum in them, which is not surprising. The platinum group metals are notoriously difficult to fully separate from each other. So the palladium they used to plate those strips probably was a little contaminated with platinum. And I think I got some platinum up here in my filter. So yeah, there's more orange stuff over there. Definitely orange, not red. So yeah, this filter's definitely going in my filter and rag storage. When I process them, maybe I can expect to get a little bit of platinum out of them. That'd be nice. Nice little bonus. Anyway, I think I've pretty much reached the point of diminishing returns on rinsing the filter. I'm not really getting any more red out of it. I'm just going to let the vacuum run until it stops dripping. And then we'll call this done and move forward. Okay, so now we've got our nice filtered solution of palladium ammonium chloride here. Now we need to reduce it to metal. And how are we going to do that? We're going to use the ammonium formate method. But to make some ammonium formate using formic acid and household ammonia. Now you want clear ammonia. Clear ammonia. You don't want sudsy ammonia. You don't want lemon fragranced ammonia. You don't want any kind of ammonia other than just clear ammonia. And the stronger, the better on this stuff, okay? Now, the process I'm about to show you comes straight out of CM Hoke's book on dealing, her alternative methods for dealing with the platinum group metals, all right? It's in that chapter on alternative methods. If you don't have a copy of CM Hoke's book and you want to get into refining, I highly suggest you get a copy of it. I'll put a link in the video description below to where you can get one if you want one. A lot of good info there, trust me. All right, so we're going to follow her recipe to the letter on this and see how it goes. First thing I need to do is measure out some formic acid. All right, so for platinum reduction, Hoke says you need about the same weight of formic acid as you expect to get in platinum. And she says further down, for palladium, you'll need a little bit more formic acid, although she doesn't go into great deal of detail about how much more. Now, on the other hand, she does say using more extra isn't going to be a problem. You can't use too much. So I'm expecting to get, at the most, maybe 20 grams of palladium out of this stuff over here, based on my small-scale tests. And there were some losses. If you watch the other 6 videos in this series, you know I've had some issues. So I'm sure there's some losses. Some of the palladium has made it into my stock pot. Some of it has made it into my rag and filter storage. So we may not get the full 20 grams I'm expecting here. We'll see. So I'm just gonna double it. Again, my formic acid also is kind of old, so it may have lost some strength. So I'm just gonna double it. I'm gonna get about 40 grams of formic acid here. Uh-oh, I am spilling it all over the place, and that is not good. I'm gonna have to clean up my scale. 38.35, that's good. I'm gonna stop there and clean up my scale real quick before it starts dissolving the scale. All right, the next steps are going to be carried out in the fume hood, so I don't have to smell this stuff, get gassed by it. We're going to dump the formic acid in this beaker, bigger beaker. Okay. Now, I'm not heating anything here. I'm just doing this in the fume hood so I don't have to smell anything, like ammonia. So now, according to Hoke, what we need to do is we need to add enough ammonia to this stuff for it to go slightly basic. All right, we're going to neutralize all that formic acid with ammonia. And then, once we get it slightly basic, we're going to add enough formic acid back to it to make it slightly acidic. So that's what we're going to do. And she says there may be considerable popping and fizzing, but we will give it a try and see what happens. It certainly looks like it's getting hot. Formic acid is a fairly strong acid for an organic acid, and ammonia is a fairly weak base, so I figure it's going to take a lot of ammonia to neutralize that formic acid. Let's see what that amount did with a piece of litmus paper here. Probably going to have to add more. Oh yeah, we are still quite acidic. So until that turns blue, we are acidic. So my experience back when I was recovering tin from solution told me that, yeah, ammonia is a pretty weak base, and it takes a lot of it to neutralize a strong acid. Now, somewhere I've got more litmus paper, but I gotta be careful not to waste it here. Oh, we're right about neutral. Right about neutral. Okay, so we want to go a little bit basic. I'm thinking a little more ammonia will probably do it. Still around neutral. Might have been still a little acidic. Hope that does it, because I'm almost out of ammonia. Wasn't expecting to need that much, but, you know, live and learn. Ah! Yes, we are below neutral. That's gone green. Okay. So now we're just going to put a little bit more formic acid in there and bring it back to acidic. And it should not take much at all based on this experience. Get it good and stirred up here. Okay, I would say we are slightly acidic, so I guess we're good. I think we are ready to move on to the next step. Alright, so what's the next step in the process? Well, I need to heat both of these liquids up to basically just below boiling. And Hope says there is a tremendous chance of boil over with this process, and to use a tall beaker and don't fill it very full. So I'm going to process just like I did earlier when I was recovering the red salt, because there was a good possibility of boil over with that process. I'm going to do this in a couple of stages. I'm going to put half this liquid in this tall 2-liter beaker. That's about half. All right. And I'm going to get both of these heating up. And we'll get them warmed up to just about boiling. And then we'll see if we can make some magic and turn this into palladium metal. So it's going to be a while for this liquid to heat up. Okay, it's been a little while. This stuff is boiling. I actually just uncovered it because it was trying to boil over. This stuff, which I haven't had on quite as high because there's less liquid here, 91C. So I think we're close enough to proceed. Hope says this reaction is going to produce considerable heat, The risk of boilover is high, so I think we're probably hot enough. Okay, so what I'm proposing to do here, put half of this liquid in here, roughly half. And then boil this liquid for a while. Let's see, where are we here? Oh, notice the color change. It is not red anymore. It's turned gray, which I'm taking as a good sign. We turn the heat up on this and get that boiling. Turn the heat down on that a little bit. It doesn't need to boil any harder. And we'll see what happens. She said we should boil this until the color goes away. If your palladium is fairly pure, you're going to wind up with palladium powder on the bottom of your beaker. If it's not pure, well, it'll probably stay in the water column and as a black, very fine black powder. We'll see how pure the palladium is. So let me bring this up to a boil and we'll see what happens. All right, it's been a couple minutes. This stuff's just starting to come up to a boil. Look at the black. Look at the black. The black powder in the foam right there. I would say that is palladium metal. Uh-oh. It looks like it wants to foam up. See if I can beat the foam down here. Okay. So I'm going to let this boil for a little while. We'll see if the liquid clears like she said it will. If not, I can put a little bit more of this stuff in it, but I want to save the bulk of it for the second half of the liquid. But yeah, I mean, I see black palladium metal right there. So this is working. We just got to see if it actually clears like she said it will. The palladium may not be pure enough for that to happen. I may just have to take this off the fire and let it settle on its own and then decant off the spent liquid. We'll see. I'm just going to let it go for a while and see what happens. Alright, this stuff has been boiling for 25 or 30 minutes. Now, it may not look like it at first, but the liquid has cleared a lot. I put another splash of the ammonium formate liquid in there, and I think that helped some too. But I want to save the rest of it for the other half of the material I need to process. But yeah, this has actually cleared a lot. Hard to tell in the fume hood down in the Corningware dish, but I'll pull it out and set it on a white cloth, and you'll be able to see through the liquid down to the bottom. And there's a pile of palladium metal down there. In fact, that's what this boiling is. It's acting like boiling stones down in the bottom of the beaker. So yeah, let me find a white cloth. We'll pull this out. We'll have a look at it and see if I want to leave it or try to boil it some more. Maybe even add some more ammonium formate to it. I might just have to go to the store and get some more ammonia to do the second half of this stuff. We'll see. Okay, so here we go. If I lift the beaker up a little bit, you'll be able to see light coming through it. Yeah, see that? And see that pile? See that pile of palladium sponge there? Look at that. You know what? There may be more palladium here than I was thinking. I might just have to bite the bullet and put some more of that ammonium formate solution in here. And, yeah. See if I can get this liquid to clear up, drop any more palladium out of it. And I'll just have to bite the bullet and go to the store and get some more ammonia and do the second half. Because that's a lot of palladium. I was not expecting that much for half of this liquid we're processing here. So it's very possible I just don't have enough ammonium formate in there. So let me put this back on the heat, and I'll add the rest of what I've got to it, and do the second half over here once I get some fresh ammonia. So let me do that. Let me put this back in the fume hood. So I got a feeling this gray color is still palladium in solution, and I just want to get it all. Well, wouldn't it be cool if there's more palladium here than I was thinking there was? So let's try it. Actually, I don't think I'll put it all in because we're getting pretty high. This stuff tends to want to foam up if I boil it covered. So I'm going to bring it back up to a boil. And we'll see if the liquid clears anymore. Get some more palladium on the bottom. That would be nice. Yeah. All right. Let this go for a while and see what happens. All right. This stuff's been sitting here boiling for 20-25 minutes now. Not really seeing much of a change other than the foam's trying to build up to where it's going to boil over here soon. The liquid does seem a little clearer, but that might just be by virtue of having diluted it with a bunch more of this stuff. It might not have actually reduced whatever particulates are in it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off the heat. Let me turn the heat off first. Make sure both burners are off here. I'm going to take this off the heat, and I'm going to sit it and just let it sit and settle and see what it looks like in a half hour, 45 minutes or so. Maybe I'll go have some lunch and come back out and have another look at it and see what it looks like then. See if whatever's fine metal is in the water column settles out and the liquid clears up. It really does look like it's trying to clear up. So we'll just let it sit and settle and see what happens. Well, will you look at that? Yeah, the liquid cleared right up. There is quite the pile of palladium down here on the bottom of the beaker. I'm really surprised at how clear the liquid is. I'm expecting it to be a little bit green still from copper and nickel contamination, but I don't know. Maybe this palladium was cleaner than I thought. Okay, so this is still quite hot. I'm going to let it sit here and cool off, and I'm going to scare up some more ammonia. I'm going to have to go off to the store and buy some so I can do the other half of this liquid. Then we'll have all of our palladium. We can weigh it up, see how much we got. That looks like a good sized pile right there. All right, so I have been to the store, got some more ammonia. I have mixed up another batch of ammonium formate solution. I'm not going to make you watch that again, so I just did that off camera. And I don't have another really tall beaker, so we're going to little dangerously and see if we can do the conversion in this shorter beaker. There wasn't a whole lot of initial foaming first time around. Maybe I got lucky. I guess we'll find out. Let me get the rest of our liquid in here, and we'll start heating it up. Make sure we get it all out of this beaker. We want all of Joven's palladium. Or I should say out of this flask. Okay, that looks pretty good. Get a little bit of color in the sidearm when we wash that out. There we go. Okay. So let's see, the ammonium formate solution's already heating up. Let me get this heating up. And we'll just do that one more time. And then we should have all of the palladium. All right, we're back and we're ready to go. All right, while we're waiting on that stuff to heat up in the fume hood, I thought we'd do a stannous chloride test on this liquid here. Based on the color, I'm not expecting to find much in it, but we'll give it a shot and just see in case. You know, maybe there's going to be a little gold. Maybe still some palladium in solution. I don't know. We'll see. Well, a whole lot of nothing going on there. Yeah. Sure doesn't look like there's anything there. Well, actually, now that it's sitting there for a few seconds, I don't know if it's showing up on the camera. Probably not. It's got a very slight pink color to it. Very, very slight. Nothing to get excited about. But we all know what the pink color is when you're doing a stannous chloride test, right? It's rhodium. Yeah, there might be a little bit of rhodium in this liquid here. And, well, rhodium is like the most expensive of the platinum group metals. But boy, that is very, very faint pink. Certainly, there's not more than just a tiny fraction of a gram in this liquid, I'm sure. Probably even less than that. That's very, very pale pink. Okay. But this liquid will go in my stock pot, and it won't go to waste. And over time, the rhodium can build up in the stock pot, and maybe next time I process the stock pot, or a few times down the road, more likely, there'll be enough rhodium in it to bother with trying to recover it. But yeah, that's interesting. I think there was some platinum in this stuff, and now it looks like maybe there's a little bit of rhodium too. All right, very cool. All right, let's see if this stuff in the fume hood's warmed up any. All right, these are both boiling. This one's about to boil over. Get out of there. Prevent that from happening. Okay. These are a little hotter than last time. Hopefully, that's not going to lead to any kind of problem. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, a little bit of action there, huh? Okay. So Hope wasn't lying. There can be a fairly energetic reaction there, but the colors changed. That's nice. In fact, they went kind of through the rainbow. Started out kind of reddish yellow and went a little green, and now it's gone dark gray. All right, we'll let this sit here and boil, just like the last one, and see what we get. I'm gonna clean this beaker out. Well, there's a bit of a problem. We had a bit of a boil over, but the cordingware dish looks like it has caught it. We get the heat off, and we're still boiling over. Rats. All right. The hell did I just put that? Most of it, but not all of it. So, a little more loss there. Not too bad, I don't think. But hey, look at the salt and pepper look to the foam there. That's palladium. Yep. And over here, that's all palladium. I'll recover as much of that as I can. Get it back in there. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't want to just boil, it wants to boil over. Yeah, you get it warts and all on my channel. Some channels, everything's just perfect. Whoa. That's a lot of palladium in there. Chunky, too. Nice. Yeah, nice chunky palladium. Get that out of there. Oh, it's hot. Ugh. Right through the leather. Alright. Let this calm down a little bit. Now, maybe I don't even need to boil it. Maybe all the palladium will just settle out on its own if I let it cool down. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, there's a lot of chunky palladium. Get it stuck to the on the outside. Yes, on the outside. Look at that. Nice. I mean, not nice that it boiled over, but wow, that's some serious palladium there. Yeah, so we're going to have a little bit of losses with this. All right. cool down, see what it looks like. I may try boiling it again if it doesn't look like all the palladium's come down. But be much more watch it a lot more carefully. I mean, I only turned my head away from this for a minute or so. My wife came by, I talked to her. I look over, there's foam everywhere. Ay. So yeah, Hope clearly was not joking about the foam over danger, but it doesn't happen when I was expecting it to happen. It didn't happen immediately after putting ammonium formate solution in. It happened later. There's still foam being created. There's lots of bubbles coming up. Even though the heat's off and this stuff's cooling down, there's still lots of bubbles coming up. And it's making it very foamy. I've had to knock the foam down a few times with a water spray. But every time the foam comes up, it's full of palladium metal. So I think there's a lot of palladium metal in that beaker. So that's a good thing. Gonna let it continue to cool down and we'll see if it clarifies. If not, I'm gonna have to tempt fate to try boiling it again. Alright, this liquid is clearing up nicely. Even I don't feel the need to boil it again. There's a lot of stuff on the side of the beaker, which is why it doesn't look so clear. I have to get that stuff off and let it settle to the bottom. And speaking of settling to the bottom, there is a lot of palladium on the bottom of this beaker. It may even be more than in this one. I don't know why. I put half the liquid in here, the other half in here, and we had a big boil over and lost some of the palladium, but there seems to be a lot of palladium in that beaker. I'm very happy about that. A lot of palladium. We're going to have some losses, but there's a lot of palladium here. Alright, so what's my next plan? Well, I'm going to decant off the liquid in these beakers. I'm going to give this one a chance to settle a little more because I've got it all stirred up now. Decant off the liquid in these beakers through a filter in a funnel, just so I can capture any fine palladium that comes over. And that'll go in my filter and rag storage so I won't lose it. I'm going to combine all of the palladium into one beaker, and we're going to give it some distilled water boils, clean it up. Then we can dry it out and weigh it and see how much we've got here. All right, getting close to the end, Joven. Finally, getting close to the end. All right, I have decanted the liquid off of the palladium in those two big beakers and transferred the palladium into this smaller beaker and put about half a liter of distilled water on it. Gonna give this a boil. You can see that it's gone turbid from transferring the palladium over, so there's some fine stuff in there. I'm hoping that with these boils it will consolidate better once we get rid of the ammonium formate residue and anything else that's in there. So I'm hoping, we'll see. But this is heating up. We'll give it a good boil, and hopefully it'll be like clean gold and consolidate nicely. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, let me show you something else. So I decanted the water off through this filter, and you can see there's a lot of fine palladium that got caught in this filter. Now this looks like a lot of palladium, but it's really not. I'm sure there's not enough here to even move my scale, probably by 1/100 of a gram. It's just super fine stuff. Some of it even went through the filter and wound up down here in this beaker I've been using to catch the water. So the filter will go in my filter and rag storage, although I think I will use this filter to filter the boil water that comes off of the palladium too and catch any more palladium that comes over. And of course this liquid will go into my stock pot along with the fine little bit of powder that's made it through. Now I'm trying not to lose anything. I mean, there's been a lot of losses in this process so far, but I think this stuff doesn't amount to much of anything. It's just very fine stuff. Okay, let's wait for that stuff in the fume hood to come up to temperature and start boiling. So I'm trying to give this stuff a boil. And, you know, even though I have dumped off the bulk of the barren liquid, and I've even given this stuff a bit of a rinse and dumped off the barren liquid again. Still, whatever little bit amount of barren liquid in here containing ammonium formate, whatever else might be in there after the reaction, it wants to foam up really badly. As soon as this stuff comes up to a boil, it starts heading for the top of the beaker. So I don't know what's going on. You can see I've got some palladium stuck to the inside of the beaker there where it's foamed up on me once already. So I've got to watch this stuff like a hawk, or I'm going to have all my palladium in my Corningware dish again. So palladium, it's not playing nice. Not playing nice. But we will get it done today, one way or another. This project has gone on for way too long. So I'm going to get this a couple of boils, get it dried out, and we'll weigh it. Well, okay, this really isn't looking too good. Hope I haven't big time screwed the pooch here. Yeah, this palladium really looked a lot better before I boiled it. It settled in the bottom of the beaker nicely, but now this has been sitting here for 24 hours, over 24 hours, and it has not settled again after boiling. It's like ink. So it agglomerated better and settled better before I boiled it. The stuff isn't behaving like gold does when I clean up gold. And it probably, I would imagine, the density difference, because gold is a lot denser than palladium. So I imagine that's what's going on here. So plan A for dealing with this stuff is out the window. I'm going to have to come up with a plan B. So let me think about that for a minute and see if I can salvage this project and get it finally done. You know, today would be nice. Today would be a great day to finish this project. So let me put on my thinking cap and figure out what we can do here. I mean, this stuff's totally opaque. You can't see into it. It's, I don't know what's going on with it, but it is not settling. Not after more than 24 hours. All right, so what's plan B? Plan B, I guess, I wanted to end up with palladium powder, which I could just easily weigh and add to my collection of palladium powder. And, well, obviously that's not happening. So plan B is I'm going to try and capture all this on a filter, and then we'll melt it down and make a button, or a bead, and weigh the bead, and see how much palladium we've got that way. It's not my preferred method, but we'll give it a shot. Hopefully this stuff isn't so fine after boiling that it goes right through the filter and into the vacuum flask. Guess we'll find out here in a second. Well, I would say some of it is coming through the filter, yes. Uber fine stuff that doesn't want to settle out is going right through the freaking filter. Look at that foaming. That's crazy. The ammonium formate must be doing that, or something the ammonium formate's broken down into. Formamide, maybe? I don't know. Causing the foaming. Okay, there we go. There's some solid palladium in there. It actually looks like a fair amount. Let me give you kind of a close-up look at that. Okay. So it's not all this super fine crap that's going right through my filter. Ugh, that's annoying. We still do have a lot of powder here that's reasonably cohesive. All right. That went right through that damn filter. It's hardly even discolored. That's crazy. All right. Let me get the rest of this into the filter and wash it with a little water, and then we'll pull the filter out. I'll get the other filter too that I ran the stuff through, and we'll put them together. We'll put them in a crucible dish, and we'll melt the palladium and see how much we got. All right, now the question arises of what to do with this stuff. I've got an idea there. I don't want it to go to waste. I was just going to dump this in my stock pot and let it mingle with the black powders accumulating in the bottom of my stock pot. This stuff is so fine, it'll probably just give me trouble in the future again when I try to process my stock pot. So I'm thinking I should probably put this into solution and let it come out of solution again on the copper I keep in my stock pot. Maybe it'll be more manageable. So since these particles went right through my filter, they've got to be really, really tiny. So I'm thinking there's probably not that much palladium here. I'll bet if I just put a milliliter or two of nitric acid in here, this will clear up, I'll bet you. We'll see. I can always put more. So I got my homemade nitric acid here. We'll start with, well, that's about 2.5 milliliters. What the heck? Ooh. Some kind of reaction going on. Reacting with the remains of the ammonium formate, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I didn't think about that. It might take a little more nitric acid. But we'll just let that sit for a while and see if that looks like it's starting to clear up as the palladium goes into solution. Alright, so I got my melting setup out. I got my big torch. I got my small torch for preheating my mold. I might be a little over optimistic having the ingot mold out. There might just be enough for a big bead, maybe. Got a new crucible that I have just coated with borax. The two filters, this one has the bulk of the palladium in it. This one over here is the one I was using earlier in this video, where I was pouring the liquid off through it and it caught some palladium. So I will get both these filters out, wad them up tight, and put them in the crucible there, cover them with some borax, and we'll get started melting and see. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain that my torch is going to get hot enough to melt this stuff, but we'll give it the old college try and see if we can. Alright, I'm going to narrate this because the noise from the torches being this close to them just sort of saturates my microphone. I'm starting to burn off the filter paper here and get down to the metal that's inside it. Putting on more borax to sort of glue everything together in there. As the borax melts, it's sticky, it holds everything together. I don't want to blow any of the fine palladium powder out of the crucible. So the borax melts and glues everything together. We're getting down to it now. There's not much left, but palladium metal, a little bit of paper ash left in there. The filter papers were wet, so they're taking their time burning off, but we're getting down to the metal. I can see the metal now. Okay, this is what I was afraid of. This is what I was afraid of going in. My torch doesn't seem to be hot enough to melt the metal into a single button or bead. I can melt the metal in one spot by holding the torch directly over it. I keep turning the heat up on the torch too. You know, this has been going on a lot longer than you've seen. I keep turning the heat up. I can melt the metal in one spot, but as soon as it melts, it kind of flows away from the flame and then hardens immediately. Or I can melt the metal in one spot. If I move the flame a little bit, it just rehardens immediately. So, yeah, my torch simply is not hot enough to melt this palladium into a single bead. I'm going to keep trying for a while, and I won't make you watch it all because it's painful. But yeah, it's just not working. It's just not working. All right, I don't seem to be getting anywhere. So I'm just wasting gas at this point in time because I can't get this crap to melt. Holy cow. Huh. Yeah, I mean, there's droplets all over inside here. I'll give you a close-up look at it here once it cools down a little bit. I mean, there's droplets all over inside the crucible. And if I hold the torch right over one of the droplets, it'll melt. It'll take a few seconds, but it'll melt. And then it'll flow away from the torch, and then it'll immediately harden again. I just can't seem to get this hot enough to melt it all into one bead. So here's the inside of the crucible. Wow. That borax has turned an interesting color in there, but you can see the metal beads. I just can't get them hot enough to consolidate into one big bead. Oh, the wind's going to blow my flame out here. What I'm planning on doing here is trying to soften up the borax enough to pull the metal beads out and throw them in a beaker of water. So at least we can try and get a weight on some of these metal beads in here. So we'll see how well that works. All right, I've got the lumps of palladium metal and the borax with beads of metal in it in a beaker with some dilute hydrochloric acid. We're going to heat it up, give it a boil, see if we can dissolve the borax without dissolving the palladium. I think we'll be okay since this isn't finely divided stuff anymore. It's beads and lumps. I think we'll be okay. So we'll let this cook for a little while and see what we got. Maybe we can actually get a weight on some metal before the end of this crazy video. Well, as for this stuff, as you can see, it has gone back into solution. I put a couple more milliliters of nitric acid in there, and I put it on the heat, low heat. It's just warm, but it all went back into solution. It's still foamy. Where is all this foam coming from? I don't get it. All right, so the next time I play with palladium, I think I'm going to do it a little different. I think I'm going to go with my original instinct to put it in the oven and sublimate away the red salt into palladium sponge, or use DMG and then sublimate it away in the oven. So those are for next time. Let's see how the stuff in the fume hood's doing. Let's see if we can actually get a look at some palladium and get some kind of weight on some palladium before the end of this fiasco of a video. Alrighty. So here's the metal I managed to recover after getting rid of the borax. A lot of little bits of metal here. We'll see how much it weighs. See what we've managed to salvage from this fiasco today. I mean, I've had some bad days in the lab before, but this borders on the most catastrophic of all. So let's see what we've got here. Oh yeah, 5.15 grams of palladium. Not nearly as much as I was expecting to get. Just one thing after another. And I'm sure there's still some palladium stuck in here, both as little beads and chemically bonded. I'm sure that blue color is in the palladium probably, and that red color. Probably. And there were some losses all along the way. So we didn't get nearly as much palladium out of this as I was expecting. I was expecting about 4 times as much as what I got here. You know, that yellow liquid, I poured it into my stock pot. That, I'm sure, had a little bit of palladium. And I doubt it had this much, though. I mean, that was really fine stuff that went through the filter. So, I don't know, Joven. Yeah, kind of screwed the pooch on this. I have to admit it. So I can't really get a good yield estimate on your strips there, because it's just been one disaster after another with this. If I had to do over again, I'd do it completely different. And, you know, you've already told me you're going to do it different, so that's good. I think you'll probably do quite a bit better. Try to recover it as a powder. Um, I would probably, if I had to do it again, and I will be when I'm doing my rags and filters, get off of there, and my stock pot, I'm going to get a lot of palladium this time because I know there's a lot of palladium. A lot of this palladium is wound up in those two places. So I will do it a little different. Um, I will sublime away the palladium ammonium chloride in my furnace and get palladium sponge again. That's worked for me in the past. Or I'll use DMG and I'll sublime it away in the furnace and get palladium sponge that way. Not going to try and melt it. At least not until I get a much hotter torch. Um, so yeah, palladium has the lowest melting point of all the platinum group metals, but it's still pretty darn high. It's a little out of my reach at the moment. All right, well, kind of a downer ending to this 7-part series. But if you found anything at all interesting, educational, informative, inspirational, whatever in this series, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next video. I've got a backlog of other stuff I need to do, so I will try to be a little more careful in the future and not screw up so bad. So anyway, subscribe to see those future videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching this one. Bye.